War is on the horizon, and the US has set a date. When? Only 2 years from now. As tensions ramp up between US and China, the Air Force has set a prediction, saying that World War III will start as soon as 2025, with Taiwan set to be the prime theater of war. Does the US really intend to fight China in a full-blown armed conflict, or is this just provocation? Either way, not everyone in the military shares this view. A 4-star general's prediction. In a jaw-dropping memo that made its way onto Twitter, an Air Force general gave his officers a wake-up call. He boldly predicted that the United States would be at war with China within 2 years and advised them to get ready for action, even instructing them to show unreserved lethality by firing a clip at a target and aiming for the head. General Minahan is the head of Air Mobility Command. AMC is no small operation, with around 110,000 members and 500 planes under its wing. Their responsibility is transport and refueling. The leaked memo is dated February 1st, 2023, and within it the general hopes that he's wrong about the prediction, but his gut feeling tells him that a clash in 2025 is inevitable. According to the 4-star general's memo, he believes that due to presidential elections scheduled in both Taiwan and the US for 2024, distractions will abound, and that's when Chinese President Xi Jinping will seize the opportunity to make a move on Taiwan. The general says that Xi has already secured his 3rd term and formed his War Council in October 2022, making 2025 the perfect year for an invasion. Minahan laid out his goals for preparation, emphasizing the need for a fortified, ready, integrated, and agile joint force maneuver team to secure victory within the first island chain. He sent the memo to all Air Wing commanders in AMC and other Air Force operational commanders, requiring them to report major readiness efforts for the China fight by the end of February. He also urged them to update their records and emergency contacts, prompting all personnel to consider their personal affairs and schedule a visit to the legal office to ensure they were legally prepared. Minahan encouraged some risk-taking during training, but not reckless. He reminded his officers that if they felt comfortable, they weren't taking enough risks. Interestingly, the memo also hinted at one potential capability the US is exploring for the conflict with China: commercial drone swarms. Specifically, Minahan directed the KC-135 unit to prepare for delivering 100 off-the-shelf UAVs from a single aircraft. This leaked memo is surely bound to sour US-China relations even more. But not only that, other US officials are expressing their disapproval of the general's actions. It seems like not everyone shares the general's views on China. Outrage. The memo is the real deal, confirmed by an AMC spokesperson. The memo is all about getting the Air Mobility Command ready for potential conflict with China, just in case diplomacy falls flat on its face. But the Defense Department wants to make it clear, as day, that Minahan's comments don't represent their official stance on China. According to Brigadier General Patrick Ryder, the Defense Department's press secretary, their main focus is working alongside allies and partners to maintain a peaceful Indo-Pacific region. They're not playing around when it comes to the challenge posed by China, as highlighted in the National Defense Strategy. But let's rewind a bit. Admiral Philip Davidson, the former commander of the US Indo-Pacific Command, warned back in March 2021 that Taiwan is definitely on China's radar. He even went as far as saying that the threat could materialize in the next 6 years. So, is a China invasion of Taiwan just around the corner? Well, Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin doesn't think so. He acknowledged China's provocative behavior and their attempt to establish a new normal, but he seriously doubts an imminent invasion. It's no secret that China invests big bucks in defense, only second to the US military in spending. They've got a vast array of capabilities at their disposal, from naval power to missile tech, aircraft, and cyber attacks. But despite all that firepower and provocation, Austin remains skeptical about an invasion being on the horizon. And it's not just Austin who remains suspicious. Retired Lieutenant Colonel Daniel L. Davis finds it pretty fishy. He thinks Minahan's either got some insider info or he's just trying to get everyone hyped up. Either way, it's definitely out of the ordinary. Chinese experts are not impressed either. They're calling Minahan's memo reckless and provocative, accusing him of stirring up unnecessary China threats. They believe it'll only make tensions worse and deepen the mistrust between the US and China, which is already at an all-time low. Xin Qiang from Fudan University thinks it's downright provocative for a high-ranking US general to make such confrontational remarks when the relationship between Beijing and Washington is already in the dumps. And Zhao Bo, a retired senior colonel from the People's Liberation Army, thinks Minahan's projection is flat-out irresponsible. He suggests that the American general is simply trying to smear China's image without even firing a single bullet. The opinions on this memo are all over the place. Some think it's a call to action, while others see it as unnecessary provocation. It's like a high-stakes game of verbal chess between the US and China. With China's actions becoming increasingly provocative, the question on everyone's mind is, what's going to happen next? How likely is war, really? A full-blown war between superpowers in this day and age sounds crazy, right? But some say it's not entirely impossible. On one side, you've got people talking about how our economies are intertwined. International governing bodies are in place, and trade between two countries hit a whopping $760 billion in 2022. But on the flip side, others point to rising nationalism, growing military strength, and the increasingly aggressive talk from both sides. Some analysts think that these remarks might just be a ploy to put pressure on China before US Secretary of State Antony Blinken pays them a visit, like a strategic move to gain leverage. Unfortunately, these remarks aren't doing any favors for the already strained relationship between China and the US. In fact, they're making things worse, pouring fuel on the fire of mistrust. Even top US politicians understand the consequences of hyping up such remarks. They know that it could damage the relationship even more and turn US-China hostility into a self-fulfilling prophecy. But here's another angle. Some experts believe that the US is trying to deter China by using this whole irritation, clarification, and de-escalation approach. It's like they're trying to provoke a reaction and then calm things down to gain an upper hand in future talks. Chinese military expert Song Zhonping thinks the US general might be doing all this just to secure more military spending for his command, saying that it's all about power and money at the end of the day. The Pentagon wants to maintain a balance in its budget, but these commanders always want more. They're constantly asking for extra cash for training and equipment to boost their combat effectiveness. It's a never-ending battle for resources. Experts aside, government officials are split too on this. Michael McCall, the chairman of the US House of Representatives Foreign Affairs Committee, agrees with Minahan. He said there's a chance the US might clash with China over Taiwan in 2025. The top Republican suspects that the odds of a showdown with China over Taiwan are pretty high and backs them up with some strong words, saying that an all-in military invasion is on the horizon if China can't take control of Taiwan without a drop of blood. Meanwhile, Adam Smith, the top Democrat representative on the House Armed Services Committee, has a different take. He's not buying into Minahan's assessment. According to Smith, a war with China is not only unlikely, but it's also not inevitable. He's urging caution and saying generals shouldn't be so quick to jump on the war bandwagon. Smith believes that instead of gearing up for a fight, they need to be focused on deterring China from making any military moves against Taiwan. He's confident that if they take the right approach, they can avoid a full-blown conflict. On one side, you've got McCall, sounding the alarm bells, warning us about the possibility of war. On the other side, Smith is urging caution and emphasizing the importance of diplomacy and deterrence. It's a high-stakes game the US is playing with China, and the tension is palpable. Will this end up in a clash over Taiwan? Or is it just fear-mongering? Let us know in the comments. And if you want more thought-provoking content, be sure to watch the next video.